Hello and welcome to another episode of Supercoach Insider. My name is Chris and welcome to my team going into the final bye round. We're almost there, guys. We are almost at the end. And look, we're staring down the barrel of the end of the season. So you should be shaping up into your teams at the moment, into full premium. And it's a bit exciting this time of year, actually, where the really good teams should have a bit of a bump. I know everyone's sort of hating on this bye round, just obviously due to lack of numbers and really killing your teams. Those two extra trades really did not much in terms of being able to alleviate that. So I'm going to go through my team, what happened this week, what I'm looking at this week, and the trades that I'm going to be making as well. Now, kick things off, I had a pretty decent week. I scored 1963. That's pretty much about par from where I is. I had a bit of a rank boost. I jumped from, I think it was about 1,500 or so down into 1,277. So on my way back into that top 1,000, which is obviously my long-term goal. I'd like to try and make it to 500 by the end of next week, which I think is doable. So we'll see how we go with that. I think I'm going to have a fairly decent week. I'd always set up for the back end buy. So for me, this is actually going to be my best buy week, and it just happens to fall on a week where not a lot of people are going to have a lot of premiums. So playing this week or even rookies for that matter. So I will go through that. 1963 for me, I actually did ride the train with Gorn. So I'm glad that he came back to 123, but I had the VC on Steel. And I'll go through that. So I had Steele. I actually had considered putting the VC on Josh Kelly, but I went with Steele just because I knew he would be a popular option, and I didn't want to get burned. And at halftime, it was looking like it was going on fire, and wow, that ship flamed out. Now, unfortunately, I had both Murphy and Bianco, but they were my 19th and 20th player, so they dropped out. I was hoping that those scores would be somewhat higher because I also had Lockie Jones and Jarman Impey, who scored 43 and 51 this week, both of which didn't bode well for my team now or moving forward. I really do hope that Lockie Jones plays this week. He would destroy a lot of teams. I sort of come to the realization, though, if he doesn't play, it's really not going to affect me too much. And the reason is basically everybody has him. So if I miss him out, everybody else is going to miss him out too. So it's not going to be too much of an issue, I don't think. But he was moved forward after having a couple of errors in the back line, and he did kick a goal to salvage a 43, but that was all right. Impey looked... How do I describe this from Impey? We'll probably get into Impey a little bit more on the pod, but he still, was trying to get the handball receives. He just wasn't getting anywhere near it. It could have been more of the fact of the way Hawthorn played. They didn't play the chip around or the switch that they usually would play. And I think that's more to do with where they played. They played at the SCG. And obviously with the shape of the ground there, Hawthorn wanted to play the down-the-line kicks a lot more and play contested football at the down the line instead of trying to go out to space because there isn't as much at the SCG. And so it could be ground-related, but he just wasn't getting anywhere near it. He's not on the kickouts. He's not a peel-off intercept defending that they now have Will Day and Scrimshaw doing that role. So he's kind of fourth in line for Supercoach points in that back line, and it really is impacting him. Whether or not I keep him this week, I think it's unlikely. So my trades actually currently have Impey going out of my team. Now, it is technically a luxury trade because obviously I could keep him this week and not be on field, but I have 18 already with him, so I'm trading out to another player who's already had his buy. So I'll get to that. Obviously, it was really nice having a decent midfield this week. Mitchell went quite well. Obviously, Steele went well. Laird went well. Kelly went well. And Brayshaw and Taranto, what could have been, hey? Had the ball, had a lot of possessions, and they just continue to kill me on a weekly basis, being really frustrating. One of those guys is going, and so I'm likely going to be out with Taranto. But we'll see how we go with that, and go from there. So moving forward, I'm looking at let's go straight through my trades. So first and foremost, Nathan Murphy absolutely killed me. 12 points, got injured, quad injury, has the bye. Probably it's a corky, so he might come back straight away. I'm not sure where that sits. I think he's just got to go. I mean, if we look at Murphy, his break even's now up to 64. Even if he comes back, he's got to have I think his highest score was 55 or something like that. Let's have a look. 55. Yep, exactly. So even if he hits his best score, and this is a kind of, I hate this. I traded obviously Highmore last week and to Bianco, killed me. So there's 80 points right there. I'm never going to get back straight away. And the reason I did that was because Highmore had a break even of say 59 and his highest score was an 80. He wasn't getting the role, and then this week he comes out and gets the role and absolutely dominates, and probably gets the role, when he comes back. But you've probably got to trade him because can't really hold him with the amount of donuts you're going to cop. So I looked at it this way and said, all right, well, Highmore's probably not going to make that break even. I need to get Bianco in. He's probably the only likely trade out target. Bang. Did the trade. Hated my life. If I'd gone Murphy instead, all of a sudden my life is a lot better, but I tried to play the break evens and they backfired on me hardcore. I also brought in CCJ, which was obviously a good in, and I traded out RCD for that. So that was one that did work in my favour. But yeah, Murphy, I think he's got to go, even though he's only 187k. I don't want to trade him out, but he's really the only player I have in my team that is ready to go out. I mean, I could trade Jones, but obviously he's playing this week, hopefully playing this week. So that could be an option. Having said that, he's got to break even at 19. I'd rather try and keep Lockie Jones if I can, regardless of if he's playing or not. Outside of that, really my only other trade-out options is Poulter, which he'll obviously go as well. And the other guys are all playing, mostly. So I don't want to trade anyone that's actually playing this week if I can avoid it. So Nathan Murphy's going, even though it's going to be annoying. He's one of the trades I'm going to be making. Poulter is one as well. I'd love to keep Poulter. I just need the cash. So if you can somehow work it so you can keep Poulter, I think he's going to be good for being on the bench all season. But one thing that's really come to fruition is Jai Newcomb. If he's going to have that sort of high floor with his high tackle numbers, then he's going to be a great player off the bench that can cover you in a pinch instead of having a Poulter. Obviously, Poulter is double DPP, so that is handy. But I don't mind bringing in someone like Newcomb, who can sit on my bench for the rest of the season if he's going to get game time, and I think he might. So those are my two outs. Now, here's where it gets a bit interesting. So I obviously traded Grundy to Riley O'Brien for 2 weeks. That's netted me 80k in profit in terms of how much Riley O'Brien's gone up in price, and obviously the points associated with that too. But I'm not going to keep him. I'm going to trade him out this week. So trading out Riley O'Brien, and obviously the other one that I mentioned that I'm getting rid of is Impey. So Jarman Impey's going as well. Those are my 4 trade out options, and here's what I'm going to be doing with that. So it gives me basically 1.9 million to play with. And here's what we're doing. We're going to put Laird back into defense. We're going to put, let's just grab the midfielders I'm going to grab now, and that's Neil. Bang. I'm going to grab Lockie Neal. Now, obviously I might be grabbing him, a week or two early. At this point, I'm more looking at players that I want to keep for the rest of the season, and that's why I'm also going to grab Dangerfield. So I'll grab Danger now. Now, obviously, if you can afford to keep him for another week, not get him this week, that's fine. But obviously, I'm going to need him on field for those points. So that's very key. Now, one thing to notice is that I was planning originally on trading Zorko last week. Now I'm actually going to be trading Rob so I can keep Zorko. So I'm keeping Zorko for the season. And I'm copying his loss this week and he's going to be playing on my Pine. Next in, actually, he's going to go forward. The midfielder that I'm also going to get is Darcy Parish. So I'm going big, and go big or go home. That's what they say. Now, the reason I'm going Parish is because I can't afford Bond, who's the other option. And the other one that I don't have is Clary. And obviously he's got the bye this week, so I can't bring him in. So the big 3 mids at the moment are Parish, Bont, and Clary. I don't have any of them. I have to get one at least. I'm bringing in Neil to try and I think he can match it with those big boys. So really, I'm going Parrish and Neil versus Clary and Bond. And that's going to be my unique for the rest of the season, unfortunately. So what you'll notice that does, and let's quickly, I'll put my last trade through. Here we go. I'm going to put Dusty back forward, and then we're going to put John Newcomb in, of course, as well. Is going to be my last one in there. There he goes. John Newcomb in. Beautiful. Now, so what that does is that actually gives me an extra midfielder. So if you look at my team here, all the mids, etc., and then I've got 2 premium mids on the Pine, but I've also got Parrish, and so I've only got 1 rookie there. What I'm going to do next week is I'm going to trade Taranto to Bolton, and he's going to finish my forward line. So then I'll have Danger, Hall, Zeeble, Dusty, Bolton, and who's my last? And Zorko. So arguably, I think those are probably the 6 best forwards by quite a long stretch. So I will have a really good forward line. I will have a decent midfield. Unfortunately, it's going to lack Bont and Clary. It's nothing I can do. It moves Brayshaw to that M8 position. And I think that, McRae, Neil, Kelly, Walsh, Steele, Parrish, Brayshaw, that's not a bad midfield. You can't really complain with that. He ask and he shall receive. Thank you, sir. On the old 150 lashes. Thank you, mate. My dear good sir. Now, what that will mean is that unfortunately, I'm stuck with my defense. So I mean, I'm not going to be upgrading Short. I'm not going to be upgrading Houston, and I'm going to be missing Stewart and Ridley. Stewart and Mills and Whitfield for the remainder of the season. So I've got to try and hope that Ridley comes back to form. I got to hope that Houston's injury keeps him out. I got to hope that that Short can keep up his scoring prowess when it's just hit or miss with him. If he gets clangers, he gets a 90. If he doesn't get clangers, he gets a 110 plus. That's as simple as it is. What I will say is this. It looks like Ambrose is coming back into that team this week, into Essendon. And I really hope that he does and pushes Ridley to that more intercepting role as opposed to playing lockdown like he has been. And maybe that means that Laverde is going to be less intercepting as well, and they're going to try and get Ridley into that role, because that's something that I think could and possibly will happen, especially this week. So keep an eye on that. I'm going to keep Ridley. I'm just going to have to wing it with my defense. I'm going to have to wing it with Doherty back there. Newman might not even be playing this week because he obviously was concussed, but they did have the bye, so we'll have to see how that plans out. So this leaves me with 18 on field. Now, obviously, as long as all the rookies play. So my rookies are Jones, Waitman, whatever you want to call him, Waterman, and Madden. There's question marks really over Waterman and Madden. I will go through them briefly now. So Waterman, obviously they're having some players come back into that team, particularly Peter Wright into that forward line and Devon Smith. However, they also have 2 players going out in Andy McGrath and David Zaharakis. So I think that Waterman actually stays. I don't think that's going to change at all. He's been serviceable down there in that role. And I actually think that Devon Smith will probably go into midfield for a higher midfield time, because they're going to lose a lot of tackle pressure out of that midfield with no Andy McGrath. So they're going to need someone to fill that gap, and I think that's going to be Devon Smith. So I don't think he's going to be replacing Waterman as what we saw in reverse a few weeks ago. The other one is Madden. I think Madden plays. Leicester's been confirmed to be out for 3 to 4 weeks with a hamstring injury. Ainsworth is seeing a specialist on his groin, is out for the foreseeable future. Jack Payne is a test for this week, but it's likely he comes back through the VFL anyway. So Madden is a shoe-in to take that role. So I think Madden plays, and so therefore I should really, fingers crossed, have 18 on field this week with 14 premiums, and that's how I'm going to be going in. So looking forward to it. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully you guys have a good week. Hopefully you're not too impacted by it, and good luck with round 14. I don't know that you guys are hating it, but it is what it is. Catch you guys. We'll see you next time.